You'll probably have time to read longer works, like novels and plays, only once. But you should make note of important passages and return to them later. Another way to participate as you read a work of literature is to paraphrase the literary events or storyline. To paraphrase, simply write a paragraph about the events as they occurred. This will help you to understand the surface in some detail before you pursue a deeper meaning. Let's say you've been assigned to read The Yearling, for example. After your first reading, you should paraphrase what happened. As you write the paraphrase, consider the familiar 5 W's. Who, what, where, when, and why. Who is the main character? What actually happens? Where do the events take place? When do things happen? Is the time period important? Why do things happen that way? You are now ready for a second reading. The second reading is the real beginning of your critical study. While on the first reading, you get a general feel for a story or poem, on the second or third reading, you begin to understand how the writer has shaped various elements to form the total effect, and how the various parts relate. In seeing relationships, you move toward the goal of interpreting the work, or being able to explain to Dr. Watson something he may have failed to notice. Let's take a look at the elements of literature, how they contribute to a work, and how you can use these elements to develop a focus for writing about literature. When you are asked to write about a work of literature, it is important to choose a topic appropriate for the assigned length of your paper. If assigned a 750-word paper on Hawthorne, for example, you probably wouldn't choose to cover the use of symbolism and allegory in all of Hawthorne's writings. Instead, you should define your topic as narrowly as you can. You will produce a stronger paper if you treat a limited topic in depth than if you choose a general subject and touch on it only superficially. A characterization of Hester Prynne in Hawthorne's book, The Scarlet Letter, would be more appropriate for a paper of this length. In this case, we have selected the element character for the development of a thesis. Character is one of the most important elements in most literary works. Almost all novels, short stories, plays, and even most poems are written about characters. Who is the major character? What is their basic quality? Courage, innocence, pride, greed? Does the character change during the story? Is the character faced with conflict? If you can answer any of these questions, you probably have the basis for a character analysis. Let's suppose you've decided to write about the character Ginger Ted from Somerset Maugham's short story, The Vessel of Wrath. What can you say about this person? Well, first of all, you should know that there are different types of characters. Characters can be classified. A round character, for example, is a term for a multidimensional or complex character. It is the character you feel you know a great deal about. Most often, the protagonist or main figure is a round character. Ginger Ted falls into this category In contrast, the person you know very little about is a flat character. Minor characters, who play only a slight role in the story, are often flat, one-dimensional characters. Characters who change during the course of the story are called dynamic. They grow up, learn something about themselves or about life, or develop in some significant way. The character who remains the same throughout the story is a static character. You can think of these terms as opposites. There is one other type of character that is sometimes found in literature, the stereotype, sometimes called a stock character.
It's a scandal, something huge.
These characters are easy to recognize because they can be moved from one story to another and do not change. They represent a set of people. For example, the good old boy, or the wealthy snob. If you want to analyze a character in a work of literature, you can look for certain characteristics. What things do you look for? What does the person look like?
Miss Jones.
What are they wearing?
I was just saying how disappointing.
How nice of you not to forget our small festivities.
But how could I?
But, do you mind not smoking? It makes my brother feel sick at the best of times. Oliver, throw it away.
Somerset Maugham in The Vessel of Wrath describes the character Miss Jones this way. Miss Jones was a woman of hard-on 40. Nothing in her appearance would have prepared you for such determination as she had just shown. She had an odd, drooping gracefulness, which suggested that she might be swayed by every breeze. It was almost an affectation, and it made the strength of character which you soon discovered in her seem positively monstrous. She was flat-chested, tall, and extremely thin. She had a long, sallow face. Her lank brown hair was drawn back straight from her forehead. Another way in which characters are revealed is through their speech, in what they say and how they say it. If you want to prove that a character is a loving husband, closely examine what he says about his wife, what he says to her, and how he says it. You should also consider what other characters, his wife, for example, say about him. Notice what the constable says about the town scoundrel.
That scallywag Englishman still here? Yes. How did he ever light on this particular fly speck on the map?
Escaping from something or other, I suppose.
He's a bit light in the head, if you ask me.
Aren't we all here? It's the heat, isn't it?
You're pretty easy on him, Mr. Crichton.
This is a lonely station, Captain. I suppose I'm jealous of the reckless way he squanders the priceless treasure of life.
Compared to what he says to him.
63 gulden, June Bishop.
You can wait for the money outside in the clock shop. Now be a reasonable man. Pay them, get it off your chest and off mine.
Leave me with only a quid to my name? Why, you little tin god, let me tell you something.
Hey there.
Okay.
You're a lost sheep if ever I saw